Welcome to the Pop Tower Podcast with your hosts, the man behind the myth, Peter Dawson, and the Soulful Lordy, James Bullock.
All right, and with that awesome intro, I am Peter W. Dawson.
I'm James Bullock.
And this is episode 43 of the Pop Tower. Coming in strong today. Also, unstated, there is a third co-host today, and it is my muffin. We may hear more from him as it develops. Because, James,
it was always the initial plan of a great mastermind for that muffin to show up on episode 43.
Absolutely. You know it was always the plan.
You know it was.
It
just happened to be that way. We just didn't realize it until today.
There's got to be some significance to 43.
Yeah.
Maybe if I derail a train, I'll get the answer.
Maybe. Or maybe you have to find Jim Carrey to give us an answer. He's gone from 23 to 43.
Yeah, that's right. That's the one. I knew there was something vaguely related with 3. I'm like, all right, it's the 23 conspiracy.
Yeah.
Well, did you call him Jim Carrey or Drew Carrey?
No, it's a Jim.
Okay.
That would be great. That would be great, Drew Carrey.
I would watch that movie.
Drew Carrey, the mystery of the number 43.
No, just Drew Carrey as the lead in a conspiracy thriller. Just watch 3 Days of the Condor, but with Drew Carrey.
I think we just found a hit movie.
Yeah. Well, it's a kicker, too, because I got 2 things I'm actually excited to talk about today, but now I just want to talk about that. Okay, for seriously.
We're going to come up with a script for this one.
Yeah, what script? We can't script this kind of unusual banter. Anyway, we're going to talk about video games and movies today. No television. But, it's kind of a weird time to talk about TV anyway. But let's talk about the Resident Evil 2 remake.
Hey, it's actually funny that you bring that up, with the fact that, aren't they talking about a Resident Evil television show they're trying to work on?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So.
There's always some talk about video game TV shows coming in and going, who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, the movie franchise might be done.
I thought they said they might be rebooting it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with that still, because Resident Evil is still pretty popular.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to talk about the movie. We're going to talk just to foreshadow it. But you know what? Let's just talk about Resident Evil.
Yeah, let's just talk about the actual franchise that started it all.
Sure. Yeah, so we're talking about, Resident Evil, which is also known as Biohazard in Japan.
Yeah.
Which they've confusingly referenced now with Resident Evil 7.
I was about to say, don't be confused with Resident Evil 7 Biohazard.
And isn't it Biohazard 7 Resident Evil in Japan?
Yes.
It's such a weird marketing idea. I mean, I think it's cute, but it's like, what?
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that I always found it funny. Like, to me, this is one of the few times the Western release got a better name than the Japanese release.
Oh, yeah, sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
It's like a debate over English voice actors versus Japanese voice actors. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, like, to give 2 examples, I much prefer the Dragon Ball Z voice actors for English, but for Japanese, I much prefer the voice actors for Recovery of an MMO Junkie. Talk about a show I watched recently.
I recently watched the dub of School Live. Oh, man. I appreciate the actual actors, but it just sounds so much better when it's Japanese.
That one, I can't imagine how you could do that with English voice actors and capture the same spirit.
It just does not work.
No, there's just some things that don't translate well. Meanwhile, like, Japanese snarky is good, but English snarky is usually better, in my opinion. But speaking of snarky...
Leon!
No, actually, we should dive into the history before we get into too much of the characters. So, the Resident Evil franchise has been around since the 90s. Mm-hmm. I want to say 96?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's gone through a bunch of iterations, a bunch of sort of remasters and remakes and such. Mm-hmm. Like, the original Resident Evil was fully remade in 2002 for the GameCube.
Yeah.
But they never remade Resident Evil 2 properly until now. Which is pretty crazy, because it's like, because they did the remake, but then they decided, rather than do a remake of 2, they wanted to actually make 4.
Right.
So they just focused on that, which it's probably still my favorite in the series, so I'm alright with that.
Yeah, I'm always on the fence between 2 and 4.
Yeah, no, yeah, this is a good company to be in. And then, so in this case, they secretly, well, not so secretly, it's just people didn't, I think, fully absorb it, that it was announced in 2015, because then they didn't really do anything with it until 2018 when they showed it off at E3.
Yeah, because, the focus was Resident Evil 7. And then,
Absolutely.
And then they dropped the remake of 1 on current-gen systems. So it was once that kind of happened, that's when everybody kind of thought about, hey, when's 2 coming out for a remake?
Yeah, now we got our answer.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because this is it's both very true to the original and very different.
Yeah, it's more of an interpretation, like not a proposed remake in the sense of, okay, it's not like Shadow of the Colossus. That's the best way to put it to me. It's not like, because Shadow of the Colossus, which came out last year with the remake, was more just a graphical upgrade with a few more control issues that were ironed out.
Yeah.
This is just a reinterpretation of Resident Evil 2.
Oh, yeah, like to use the term that they used for Battlestar Galactica when they did it was a reimagining.
Yeah.
Which is how you get around all the stuff being different.
Yeah.
In this case, it's still probably closer to the original than, the Battlestar Galactica thing I just mentioned, but it's more than just a remake or even just a remaster. Because there's a lot of stuff that's still very different, because just the controls alone, it's now a third-person shooter of sorts.
Yes, over the shoulder. It's very similar to 4.
Yeah, which is understandable, because that's usually the most popular version of it. Because, 5 had some control issues, and then 6, I only know 2 people who really like 6.
I've seen a few people that have kind of gone out of their way to say that they've enjoyed 6, and I think it's ironic enough that it's a lot of the people that started with 4.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's, I don't know. I don't want to go off on a tangent.
No,
we could probably spend a while on that.
Yeah.
One. In this case, yeah. So, the basic premise, small spoilers for the original Resident Evil. In Resident Evil 1, the Umbrella Corporation, which basically owns Raccoon City, the setting of this place, which I believe is in the Midwest.
Yeah, I was about to say the heartland of America.
Is it? It's not exactly Cleveland, but it's definitely not like Chicago either.
Right? No, it's kind of like a hybrid.
Yeah. Maybe Illinois? Or sorry, not Illinois, Indianapolis.
Yeah, we'll go with
Illinois is a state.
Yeah.
I'm not American. I can get away with stupid mistakes like that.
No, you just point you're figuring out a Midwest area. It's that's Raccoon City.
Yeah, it's got to be a big one, or Minneapolis maybe.
Yeah.
That's probably the vibe they're going for more than Chicago.
Yeah, it does have that small country, small town vibe, but it's still a big city.
Yeah, and I think they say at one point it's something like 4 hours from New York by car. That's just wrong. Yeah,
it just sounds wrong. Not for you, just you can tell that would be their estimation. New York is 4 hours from everywhere.
Well, no, it's just by car, because what is New York to DC, 5 hours?
That's about right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they were going for that kind of a distance, but they didn't want to do Baltimore or something like that either. They wanted more inland.
I mean, that could really open up things if they had the infection going through the sea and moving outward to the east.
Oh man, if it was coastal, that would be bad.
Yeah, they could have easily done that.
Yeah, and so because in the original, the Umbrella Corps, they had it all in the old estate of one of the founders of Umbrella or something like that, the Spencer Mansion. Mm-hmm. And it turns out there's a big secret biolab underneath, and a virus they were working on got out and started turning people into zombies. Plus, it was something they were using to create genetically engineered creatures.
Yeah.
Which are kind of weird because they're mutated animals, but they're also modified.
Yeah.
So they're both viral mutants, but they're also engineered. It's a very interesting combination. And one of the main things that they created is the Tyrant, which is basically a superpowered dude. Mm-hmm. And the early Tyrants are still kind of crazed killing machines, and then you get as we'll get to in this one, you can see there's a more perfected version.
Yeah, it's more a humanized version, just jacked up. I mean, one of the characters is like Colossus, like from X-Men. Like, that's how they kind of come out looking now.
And I really appreciate how well this virus, which is very much a thing you could see in movies, also lends itself to, like, boss enemies.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like, this is something I've always said, like, they had a very logical reason why there would be boss-type enemies in this game. And it doesn't feel forced.
Yeah, there are definitely certain scenarios, especially in 2, where you connect this virus to certain things happening, and it actually makes sense.
Yeah. I wish I could speak more into the nuance for the viruses, because one of the big things about 2 we'll get to is there's some differences between various virus types.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the main one, the T virus, is the prominent one that turns people into zombies in the first place.
Right.
And while this is going on, Raccoon City just basically dies.
Yeah.
And becomes a city of the dead. And unfortunately, rookie cop Leon Kennedy is getting ready to drive to town for his first day on the job.
Yeah. It's the complete opposite of he's about to retire in 2 days. Nope, he's just about to start.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he's fresh from the academy in 2 days from retirement. I think the thing is he's also supposed to be driving from New York. That's why I brought that up earlier.
Yeah.
Because I remember that's a thing, and I think, like I said, I think it was like 4 to 5 hours or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he comes in, and you immediately see kind of the difference, because in the original game, this gas station sequence that opens the game now was really more of a movie.
Yeah, it was. It was just cinematic.
Yeah. It was not playable. I say more of a movie. Yeah, it's cinematic. Well, and he goes there. He encounters some of the undead, and then he also meets Claire Redfield.
Mm-hmm.
Sister of protagonist from Resident Evil 1, Chris Redfield.
Yes. Who's gone missing. And I love the fact that they mentioned that he's on vacation.
Yeah, he went to Tahiti. Little Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reference for you. Yeah, so she's just a college student, but, like, it's interesting because, Leon's got cop training, but he's still, getting used to being in the field.
He's still unblemished. Like, the fact is that he still had his honor code, even though you can see, like, certain situations, like this situation in particular, there are things you should not be doing or worrying about.
No, like, he is very much going through a hard coming of age.
Yeah.
Like, Claire, she was more naturally tough to begin with, but she'd never really seen combat, but, like, they mentioned she'd gotten some training from her brother.
Exactly.
So they're both kind of around the same skill level. Like, Leon's probably had more proper training.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, he's like, and to go like book training, like on the field situations, he is not ready for just yet.
No. And so it's really nice to see the two of them kind of balanced as they're both fresh-faced, but, because, I mean, like, the last time they got around it by just having two people from the same unit, and they've both been experienced for at least a couple of years. I remember the other protagonist of Resident Evil 1, Jill Valentine, the original dossier said she was Delta Force.
Yeah.
Which, Delta Force, I think, are usually minimum in their 30s, not their 40s. And she's 23. I'm like, nope. They did not do a lot of research on this, did they? Well, then I think Chris was also supposed to have been drummed out of the Air Force 2 years ago at the age of 23. Like, this is what I'm saying. They were a lot smarter at creating these characters than they were those. I mean, research is what it is. It's the 90s.
I was going to say, like, in the 90s, it was a lot harder to get that kind of stuff done. And then, to turn around, they weren't worried about people, like, really researching, because it wasn't available like it is now. So it's
this isn't like saying Brazil had a West Coast.
Yeah, they'll just believe what we tell them.
Yeah. It's like, look, we just need something to give you some idea why they're awesome. I don't know. They just have a huge list of American organizations to throw a dart. That one.
That's the one.
Yeah. And, sorry, it's just, I'm having a lot of fun with the Resident Evil backstory stuff. It just always amuses me.
And the fact of the matter is, it just gets wackier and wackier as the sequels progress, so...
Oh yeah, it's fine. We're just having some yucks, because this is okay, let's get to the game itself.
Okay.
I really enjoy it.
Very much so.
Yeah, like, it's... Despite the fact that they changed the style from the fixed cameras, which I do not miss,
No, not yeah. That's the two biggest things we talked about: the over-the-shoulder third-person view, very similar to Resident Evil 4. The other thing is the fact that there's actually the player actually has control over the camera this time, where you can move it around 360 degrees, compared to having the fixed cameras, which were incredibly annoying. And I don't really know how I even played it so long back in the day.
I know, this is the thing, because, like, you know, you got the original Resident Evil fans, and, like, oh, these were great, and then you're like, man, we put up with a lot of nonsense back in the day.
I remember, like not to jump ahead, because I know the rumor is that we're definitely going to get a Resident Evil 3 remake. But I played Resident Evil 3 a while back. I just got it on PSN. And I forgot just how tough it was just because of the cameras.
Yeah, I know. Like, and they're really clever about it because, while the camera's now on your side, the controls are still a little stiff to simulate the fact that your characters are not, you know, peak human beings.
Yes.
I think they're the right. Like, some people will say they might be too stiff, and fair enough. I do understand that critique. I just don't personally find it to be that much of a problem.
No, it was one of the later boss battles. I had a little bit of an issue, and only because of one thing. It was just the fact I kind of had flashbacks of Resident Evil 4, like just the thought of being able to dodge and roll.
Yeah.
Not being there, and it just feels like that would be a perfect opportunity to be able to dodge or roll.
Absolutely.
But other than that, once you see okay, I can maneuver this way, kind of like strap to the right or left in a quick fashion, and
strap or strafe?
Strafe, yeah, there you go. And
okay, just checking.
Yeah,
I've been wrong before.
No, it was a true Jim Carrey moment.
Yeah.
No, but just the fact is, like, one of the things the enemies telegraph whatever they're about to do so well that you should be able to figure out how to maneuver it.
Absolutely. Like, the only time it can get kind of annoying is if you find yourself low on resources, and the game is very stingy with resources.
Yeah.
You can usually muddle through pretty well.
Yeah, I was actually surprised how well I did in terms of not running out of health supplies and ammo.
Yeah, well, especially ammo, because they cut out a big sequence in the beginning of the game because they did the gas station sequence and made it playable, which was cool.
Right.
And then you end up in Raccoon City, and normally the escape through Raccoon City, there's a couple of detours where you get a chance to grab a lot more ammo and even potentially a gun.
Yeah.
Can't you get the shotgun in the gun store if you know what you're doing?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's not in this.
No, it's not. Not at all. And the funny thing about it, the gun store sequence is much later in the game.
Yeah. So, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. So by then, hopefully you should already have a shotgun. But if you don't, you still really can't get it. There's a part for the shotgun in the gun store.
Yeah. It's a thing. I mean, at least, I don't know. I would have admired a game that, like, sent you to a gun store early, and there's actually a good selection, but your character's limited by how much they can carry.
Oh, man, that would have been incredible. And then you just had to choose, like, really have to make a choice, like, what is the best idea for what I should carry right now?
Yeah, or even, like, it's a timing thing. Like, you burst in, and you have a timer, and it's like, I have to be fast. And you, like, as you're doing it, you can hear the glass smashing.
Right.
But the game, and you have, like, a meter, and when it runs out, the thing you have highlighted, if you haven't already selected it, that's the weapon you grab.
That's what you automatically get.
Yeah. I mean, they kept it simple, because, I mean, most of the game, the main thing are pistols and shotguns, and then sub-weapons.
Right.
Barely even remember if... I haven't played enough to truly talk about some of the other weapons of the game. I mean, there's sub-weapons, which I'm familiar with.
Yeah, sub-weapons, there's a chemical flamethrower that you get.
Right.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's very late in the game.
Yeah.
You get the mag, that's very late in the game.
Yeah, of course. They don't give you the mag early on. Are you insane?
Yeah, no. But once they do not give you much ammunition for that one, I don't blame them either, because that's a great weapon, but like you said, you'll be just slaughtering enemies so easily. But I just love.
Was there a grenade launcher?
There is a grenade launcher for Claire.
Right. It's the thing where the lady gets the grenade launcher.
Yeah, and
it's a weird
gender
stereotype thing.
Yeah, but very later on, Claire gets some of the best weapons too.
Well, it's the same thing with Jill in 1. She gets grenade launchers. Chris doesn't.
But that was like one thing I was hoping for, like, just give Chris a roundhouse kick. Like, I was just hoping for that. And, of course, that's not the case, but Like, just to make up for the lack of weaponry, he can have a roundhouse kick.
Yeah, because there's no punching in this.
No. Like, all you can do is shoot and run.
Yeah, which again makes sense because these characters aren't like Leon's got some training, but it's like hand-to-hand takedown stuff. It's not, punch fist Mick kick to the nuts.
Right. And then considering the way they created the zombies in this one, how well would he have done if it was close combat?
Yeah, he would have been screwed.
I'm saying.
Yeah. Like, and I appreciate that there's knives that can actually break.
Oh, yeah. I know a lot of people are upset about that.
Well, there's enough knives in the game that I think you're okay, but I do understand why some people are frustrated that something that used to not have durability now does.
Yeah. I completely understand that portion. But it just feels like, and one thing about it, the whole gimmick of the knife is that it's kind of like a get out of jail free card. One time only. Like, at least you can actually retrieve the knife. You can get it back if you knock the zombie down.
Yeah, it's a bit similar to the Shiv from
The Last of Us? Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's handled a bit better because the Shiv I always had some problems
with. Oh,
with.
yeah. It wouldn't take long before you were done with that.
Yeah. Whereas this case, I think they got a little more, and of course they've added the sub-weapons with the flashbangs and everything.
Oh, I love the flashbang. I love the grenade. Just because of the fact that one of the key things that you can do if something's attacking you, you can hit in the case of the PS1, the L1 button, I'm assuming would be the left bumper for the Xbox. And if you have like a grenade equipped, either they will throw it down or stick it in the person's mouth.
Yep. Grenade in mouth.
Yeah.
Spike Lee saw it coming. You know he originally threatened to sue people over that?
Really?
Yeah. It was weird. I just bringing it back to the movie conversation we had last
Yeah.
time. But, oh yeah, we should probably talk about the other major thing they added. Because there's a comparison I want to make that is kind of obscure, I guess.
Okay.
So one of the big things they did was, we mentioned the tyrants before.
Yeah.
So there's one in the game.
Mm-hmm.
There's always one in the game, I should mention. Like, didn't he originally fight Claire?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of the weird thing, is like, because didn't in the original Leon fight the scientist dude that you probably shouldn't spoil too much about, but, and then Claire fought Tyrant?
Yeah, that was the way they structured it, and that's kind of more of a similar tone for both.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, because I think the Tyrant's more focused in Leon's ending than Claire's.
Yeah, because there's several moments, like, focusing on the Tyrant, getting its just due, and not really.
But you may be wondering why we're talking about an endgame dude when we're trying to avoid spoilers. Well, the Tyrant, Mr. X,
yes,
so-called because he wears a trench coat and top hat.
Yeah, I every time I think about him, all I can think about is, like, in the tune of Mr. F from Arrested Development.
Yeah. Well, and then Mr. X, of course, from JFK.
Yeah. Mr.
And
X.
although the trench coats and top hat always just make, or the fedora always make me think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Because that's their human disguise. Yeah, so he's wearing a people suit, but I mean a trench coat and a fedora, and he just roams the police station trying to kill you.
Yeah, it was so funny because one of the earlier moments, cause it doesn't happen that late in the story for Leon. You're not even pretty much out of the first boss battle when he shows up.
Yeah,
and,
I know.
And I remember I was getting myself collected, and there's one character that you meet very early on that, of course, succumbs to a bite, and he turns into a zombie. So of course Mr. X shows up right when I'm trying to kill the zombie. So I'm running from a zombie and Mr. X and going around in circles in the main hall. In the main hall of the police department, no less.
Yeah. Just to be clear, so the premise is Mr. X is an unkillable, just threat that will chase you around the map at random intervals, and you have to hide from him. And it can be hard to figure out. Like, this is probably one of the big flaws, I think, for, like, the system, because I think it's a good system in general, because you can hear them coming, it can make situations even more tense. It's like, once you get the handle of zombies, which still take quite a few bullets to potentially kill.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you might get a lucky shot, blow their heads off immediately, But most of the time, it will take about 7 to 8 bullets to put him down.
I thought it was only about 6.
I've had about 7 or 8 sometimes. And like the best thing I found, which was hilarious, when I was doing my Claire playthrough, I shot the first zombie that you meet in the gas station in the knee, like perfect shot in the kneecap, and just obliterated his leg.
Nice.
Yeah.
Chris would be proud.
I know.
Yeah. But like the problem is with Mr. X, and it's one problem. Like in general, I like this mechanic quite a bit. I want to make that clear.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an unfortunate obvious flaw with this because, like I said, he's unkillable. You can still stun him. Thank God, because otherwise that would really suck. And he'll chase around. He's not that he's not that fast. He's
not at all. He'll pick up speed once he gets like right on you. But even then, you can just get away from him very very quickly.
Yeah, he doesn't move. I think he moves slightly faster than a zombie, but not by much.
No, not at all.
Yeah, like I said, I think he's slightly, and I mean it's barely.
Like I said, he's pretty much just like the same speed as them until he spots you and like gets right, like maybe about a couple of feet in front of you, and then usually that's when he's trying to telegraph an attack. Yeah,
it's when he's lunging that anyway, so you have to hide from him, and it can be hard to figure out what room is safe from him.
Yeah, there are definitely situations where I've heard the footsteps, and I've gone in a direction, and come to find out, nope, I'm coming through the door right behind you.
Yeah. Thankfully, the game does give you several reprieves where there's sequences where he won't come after you. Like he's either left the police station, because the majority of the game does take place in the police station. Yeah. In case we weren't clear about that. Like, that's the main setting, although there's plenty of other areas you also explore. And, it reminds me a lot of the Scissor Man from the Clock Tower games.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reference I was going to make. Which is where he kind of lumbers after you, going clickety-clack, clickety-clack. I'm going to stab you right in the sack. I don't know. But the difference with that game is, like, he's the only enemy, so you would have to find a hiding spot and then properly prepare for the hiding spot.
Right.
But he could be freaky. In this case, Mr. X is definitely an annoyance and terrifying. It's just, it would have been nice to be a little more consistent about what the rules are for hiding from him.
Yeah.
But I mean, the general sound of his footsteps and everything, and having that ability to be like go up a ladder, immediately see him and go nope and go back down. Yeah. There's plenty of gifs like that already online, and they're pretty great. Yeah. I don't know if there's much else to say. Like, I'm just gonna mention, for those who may not be that familiar with Resident Evil but have heard of Ada Wong before, this is the game where she first shows up.
Yeah.
And this is a character whose plotline still hasn't been resolved so many games later.
I know, it's the craziest thing.
They finally killed Wesker in a later Resident Evil. Why haven't they resolved Ada Wong?
No.
Yet. It's
so weird.
I'm just so done with it. Give her a dang resolution. She's good in this one though.
It's very good. The fact of the matter is like it's kind of ironic that this is almost the same time of the year last year Shadow of the Colossus came out with the remake, and that was my thing. Like I was saying that this was a definitive. This is pretty much like a definitive version of how a remake should be, especially a game that came out like 2 or in this case 3 generations ago. Now Resident Evil kind of has taken that mantle. Like Resident Evil 2 to me is like that ideal remake of a classic game.
Mm-hmm. Well, like the Yakuza remakes were also pretty good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. With Kiwami 1 and 2, definitely.
Yeah. Like we've gotten some really and they're not just HD remasters.
Right.
They're adding genuine new content, genuine new play styles. They're staying true to the stories of the originals, which is good. Maybe tweaking a few things here and there, but the story in this is pretty much still, like I said, aside from who fights which boss, I think pretty much dead on.
Yeah, very much so. Like I really can't complain in that sense because it's always been kind of hokey and goofy and very sci-fi. So I mean, I've never really taken a Resident Evil story too seriously. Yeah,
and they clarified the expansion they make to the viral mythology in this viral mythology, like the clear because would you say it's a spoiler to talk about the virus at least?
Well, I mean, it's a spoiler of a game that came out in 1998.
I know. I'm trying not to ruin it for new players, though. I'll get into that another time.
Yeah.
It's fine. I can hold off. Anything else you want to talk about with this?
No, I'm really enjoying it. I'm actually trying to wrap up my Claire playthrough. I want to do the second runs. I don't know if I'm going to try to get a platinum because there are certain circumstances and stuff you have to do to try to finish games with certain things like no healing items or item boxes or anything like that. So probably won't push myself through it. But I definitely want to play all the playthroughs with the first and second runs.
Well, the big one is, like, there's one where it's like you have to beat the whole game in under 2 hours, 30 minutes with only 3 manual saves, I think?
Yeah. Like I understand, you know, that's kind of like the old Resident Evil restrictions and some of the stuff that you can unlock, but I just got too much to do.
I know. It's like, I got stuff to do.
Yeah,
I got sandwiches to make. I got places... I got snow to shovel.
Hey! I mean, the thing about it was like, okay, the game came out in 98. Like, I didn't get it, Resident Evil 2, mind you. I didn't play it until like a year later when I was able to buy it. And like, that was my summer game. Like, that was the game that I played throughout the entire summer of 1999. That was the only thing I was playing. You know, it's not like that anymore. I'm an adult now.
No, it's like the TV thing. Like, you can't demand so much attention from someone anymore for a television show. You can't demand so much attention from so many video games anymore.
Exactly.
Like, we're seeing so many instances where too many games are getting released the same day.
Oh, yeah. Like, we're recording this a week before a week that we will see, like, 3 or 4 games we're going to play come out on the same day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is crazy. And, of course, like, we've seen, like, releases, like, stuff near, what was it? Right near Red Dead 2.
Oh, yeah. It was in September and November.
There was Call of Duty and Battlefield 5, and as a result, Battlefield 5 got crushed.
Yeah. And then, you rewind back to September, and we had Spider-Man, and then Shadow of the Tomb Raider came out the next week.
Yeah. Well, rest in peace, Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
I know!
Which is a shame, because I think we actually quite liked that one.
I did. I really did.
I did. I couldn't remember what you thought.
No, I did. It was one of those things like, man, but I've played this game before.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But it happens.
But unlike Resident Evil 2, the remake, where I didn't feel like I had played this game before, but I haven't felt like I played this game before.
Well, yeah, because they changed so much stuff, too.
They did a great job. Great job, Capcom. Great job, all the developers. I'm actually looking forward to the Resident Evil 3 remake.
Yeah, hopefully that happens.
Yeah, I mean, just the thought of how many people are going to be crying about Nemesis.
Yeah. and Jill cheating on Chris with Carlos. Although, I don't think they had as much of a connection as some of the other characters did in later games.
No, not at all, no.
Yeah.
But that might be because of PS1. That might be like, they were just limited in terms of writing and time.
They still had a chance for Ada and Leon to...
Yeah, they did.
What's that? Are you looking forward to 21 years of unresolved sexual tension? Oh, man. Sorry, I love taking the piss out of that. I only say this because I'm annoyed. As a fan. Anyway, speaking of fandoms and possibly being annoyed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, this isn't going to be controversial at all. Let's talk about the superhero universe that's about to be shattered. I think that was one of the taglines. Let's talk about Glass.
Oh. Man, that's...
Glass... Oh, sorry.
No, man, I'm just thinking, like, man, this is that movie. It's my Grand Theft Auto 5. I enjoy it while I watch it, but when I walk away from it, the more and more I think about it. Good Lord.
Here we go. So Glass is supposedly the epic conclusion to M. Night Shyamalan's totally, I guess, intentional superhero trilogy.
It wasn't.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, okay? So we got Unbreakable, which was Shyamalan's second movie, I think, after Sixth Sense.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and which is a fantastic movie, and it still holds up really well.
Mm-hmm.
There's still some weird bits in that movie, but I mean, that's if you've ever seen even a good Shyamalan movie, that's always the
that's
thing.
always on near the top of the list, if not at the top.
Yeah. It's like, there appears to be a scene where I don't entirely talk like human. What's going on with this? And the more you watch his movies, the more you realize, no, it's the script, it's not the actors.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's his style. What can you do? If style were the only problem, well, we'd be laughing. Okay, so, and then the second movie was Split, which focused. Oh yeah, I should probably talk about the premise of the first two movies, because the first one, Unbreakable, revolves around Bruce Willis's character being. I'm just gonna call them by their hero names.
Okay.
Although, well, we have to talk about why
He's
this
got
is
so
so
many now.
I know. So you got Bruce Willis, who plays a dude who's basically invincible.
Yeah.
Thus, he's unbreakable.
Yes. The Dunn
and,
man. David Dunn himself.
Yeah, thank you. I guess, yeah, screw it. We'll just call them the character names.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis plays David Dunn, a man who is apparently unbreakable.
Yes.
And he meets Samuel L. Jackson, who plays a guy who is named Elijah, also known as Mr. Glass.
Yes.
Who is very much breakable because he has brittle bones.
Yes, he has a disease that makes all of his bones brittle, but he's highly intelligent. So,
oh yeah,
of course, he would move to the realm of the dark side. He would go to the realm of evil, because why would you be smart and not be evil?
He's Lutheran at heart, man. He's Lexan.
He is Lexan, man. He's on that Lex Express with this one.
Yeah. Oh man, Lex Express. You're so right. Yeah. So he's kind of the nemesis to, and mentor to, David Dunn,
yes.
Bruce Willis' character. And then we got Split, which was essentially a horror movie where James McAvoy.
Yes.
Okay. Kevin Wendell Crumb. That's the name.
Yeah. I always just call him Crumb.
Yeah. That Crumb.
That's all I just call him.
I just burned him hard in the 1950s.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that Crumb was an insult in the 1950s. Don't really use that in modern day.
No,
anyway,
no.
Yeah, he plays a guy with split personalities. I forget the exact number he had. He's a bunch.
Yeah, it was. I think actually it was 23.
Was it 23?
I believe it was 23. Either it was 21 or 23.
Yeah, most notably, one of his personalities, the Beast, which is like the superhuman, strong, primal, crazed version.
Yeah, when his body turns into Batista.
Essentially, yeah. He becomes the animal. Because as you know, I'm gonna go on a whole tangent. I'm not careful.
That's too many wrestling references for one podcast.
We've got enough. Yeah, no. In this case, his villain name is the Beast, though. His villain name is the Horde.
Yes, because of course, because he's got a whole bunch of personalities. So.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
And
we're
yeah,
gonna
he
use
does the thing where he
so we're gonna use the Horde.
Yeah, of course. So he kidnaps a bunch of people and like ends up killing them when he becomes the Beast. And in this case, whatever picks up is David Dunn.
We also had to mention, for him being a psychopathic murderer, he also is a cannibal.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So when he becomes the
Beast, I guess
he wants some red meat, and it's got to be human flesh.
Yeah. That's why he does what he does.
Yeah,
that's fair. We probably should have mentioned that. And so David Dunn wants to hunt him down and bring the Horde to justice. And things go wrong. Soon, Dunn, the Horde, and Mr. Glass all end up in a psych ward. And so you might think, oh, that's a small part of the movie, right? And then we have this epic team up with Mr. Glass and the Horde.
Yeah, you're thinking like them being the psych ward, what you see in the trailers and all the promotional photos and everything is like 15 minutes tops.
Yeah. Nope.
No, it's the whole second
act.
That's
the movie.
It's the first act goes about 15, 20 minutes. Then the second act, you're in the middle ward for at least a good hour.
Yeah, no, it's a good chunk of the movie. It's like a more interesting and also kind of a more annoying version of the second episode of season 1 of Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I gotta compare it to, which is not great, because I'm thinking about Iron Fist, which I did not like. But at the same time, oh man, everyone in this movie's kind of awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just like, the actors themselves are so good at making something so mundane actually bearable.
Yeah, like, oh man, if like, this is, the theory is, because they only made the movie for $20 million, that Shyamalan had to make a lot of cuts and didn't know what to do with it as a result. Because, like, he probably wanted at least $60 million.
Yeah.
Like, some have said 40. I'm like, no, he probably wanted at least 60.
He wanted a little bit more than that.
So, unfortunately, this movie can feel very small and very meandering at points.
I mean, even, and this is not to spoil too much, but I mean, you get to the end, like, they had this grandiose idea of how the movie's going to culminate, and and physically, it doesn't get that far.
No. Like, if there's one major fault I think the script has, and it might surprise people who want to, Shyamalan script has problems, what could it be? It's more, it felt like they didn't make enough changes to account for the fact that a lot of the epic stuff couldn't be included.
Right. There's a whole bunch of teasing, and a lot of plot work.
Because they probably would have still spent a good chunk of the movie in the psych ward.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it probably wouldn't have been as much as it was, but this was probably going to be like a good half of the movie.
I definitely can see that.
Like, I would probably say it was probably still going to be like half the movie.
Yeah, definitely.
But as a result, it's basic. It's well. How long is this thing in total? Man, I don't even remember.
I want to say it was like 2 hours and 10, but maybe, let me see.
Yep. It's barely 2 hours and 10.
Yeah, 129.
Yeah, they're in there longer than that.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because, like, that's really kind of the problem. Because as much as it tries to be an intellectual film, and in certain levels it absolutely succeeds, the ultimate goal of the movie, which I will not spoil, is a little disappointing, to say the least. Some people hate the ending.
Yeah.
And, it feels like it didn't live up to its potential, which I will absolutely agree with.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, that was the main thing I wanted to ask you, like, how did you feel, we didn't have to spoil it, but how did you feel about the twist?
I'm actually okay with it to a degree. I just feel like they didn't go far enough with it.
Yeah, it was one of those things that I will spoil this part, because this has been in the trailer. The idea of them being in the psych ward is the fact that we're trying to convince them they're not superheroes.
Yeah.
But the way they go about it is so minimalist. Like, there's no way that would work.
No, I know.
If these people are so mentally stuck in this idea, there's no way this could work.
I know. It's still, like, clearly it's still trying. I mean, like, it's, like we mentioned the three leads, and then Sarah Paulson plays the main doctor.
Yeah.
She is pretty good in this.
Yeah, she does a great job. She really does, especially at the end. Like, I thought the switch that she flipped associated with the big twist was very nice. Like, she really came across as menacing without being like, oh, she's just being that kind of person. No, it's like something's wrong with her. Something's obviously not right with her as you watch her throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can't say that this movie didn't have good talent that were trying to make the best of a bad situation. But they really shouldn't have. They really should have rethought the script.
Yeah. Okay, another thing. The Horde has a scene that I think a lot of people have remarked is probably one of the better scenes in the movie, where they use these flashing lights to kind of like settle them down and try to pretty much reset everybody. And there's a person that tries to reset the Horde, and he goes through at least 6 or 7 personalities in one take. And it just keeps going back to Hedwig, which is the 9-year-old boy. Like, that's always the one that kind of like jumps back to the forefront. And it just made me think like that was the character he liked to play the most. So like they kind of wrote it into the script like he has to play Hedwig the majority of the time.
That one works for me. I always loved Mr. Pritchard though. That felt like a real. I think that's the name. That's the guy who likes Japanese movies.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It seems like a very odd and specific character. I'm like, that one's pretty fun. Cause like you said, the one guy, he's like, yeah, he's basically just a 9-year-old boy. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just I went for my emergency muffin.
Okay. Oh, there it is. The power of the glass is working once again.
Yep. But yeah, probably the only performance of the main leads I even remotely have to critique is Bruce Willis still kind of felt asleep at some point.
Bruce Willis felt like he was grunting the majority of the movie. Like he was grunt acting throughout the majority of the movie. He just felt so tired. And I understand like the idea of his character being the fact that he's been working on trying to take down this person. He's tired, just overall just being a superhero, but enjoys being a superhero. Like he's just worn down, just period. But it's obvious, like especially the part where he was like in the psych ward, and he should be well rested by now. He's just still just mumbling, grumbling, like he doesn't want to be here, and not in the way of a character not wanting to be here. It's just like I just get a paycheck right now. I felt for him. Yeah. I felt for him because he just did not look happy.
Well, I genuinely think Bruce Willis's hearing problem has finally gotten the best of him. Because for those who don't know, he basically ruined his hearing in the original Die Hard.
Right.
I think it's specifically the scene where he fired the gun under the desk.
Mm-hmm.
And like he's been dealing with that ever since. And I'm starting to wonder if it's really started to get to him now.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like I'm speaking genuinely as a person who has dealt with many older people,
right?
Who have had physical, like I've worked with more than a couple of people who've had worked. I say, I don't want to get too into the woods with this, but yeah, like I've worked with people who've had vision problems that they didn't used to have, hearing problems that they didn't used to have. Of course, mobility, that's always a big one.
Of course.
I'm wondering if that's starting to affect him a bit.
That might be a good point.
All the respect in the world, he's starred in one of my favorite movies, well, two of my favorite movies. I love Unbreakable as well, and of course Die Hard I love. Fifth Element's pretty great, He's got a really good filmography. But
he really does. Like, it's just one of those things that it was obvious that he was a notch below where we wanted him to be, I think, more so than anything. Not the fact of where he could have been, it was just, I think, what we wanted of him, especially to tie it into a movie. And we have to also mention, with Unbreakable, came out in 2000.
It's true.
I mean, that's 18 years between the time of Unbreakable's release and the time that this movie was filmed.
Yep.
I mean, that's a lot of not only just age, but also for him still acting, doing some incredibly strenuous things.
Oh yeah.
But one thing we have to know too, I got to give my boy M. Night credit for getting Spencer Clark, who was actually David Dunn's son in the original Unbreakable, in the original part of this trilogy. And
but he also got. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, what were you saying? No.
I was gonna say he also got Anya Taylor-Joy from Split show up again.
Yeah.
And I don't was Charlene Woodard the mom in Unbreakable? I don't think she was.
I don't think so. No.
I'm pretty sure they changed actresses.
Yeah, I believe so.
No, she was.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I just checked.
Yeah.
So he got a good chunk of he didn't get Robin right, which is fine.
Right.
She's busy. Honestly, didn't really need her. So
no, not at all.
It's not exactly a big loss. But he got a key person from every movie as well as the three leads.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it is surprising that Spencer Treat Clark, he came back because is he kind of has he done a lot lately?
No, that's the thing. I didn't even know he was really out there to be doing a movie. So.
Well, right. He was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he was only in a few episodes.
Right.
I guess he was happy for the work done.
Yeah.
Good man. I don't know. It's like I think the big thing is the twist I've seen in other stuff before.
Yeah.
And it felt like it needed another punch. It was still, it was solidly executed in general, but like I said, without that second notch, you're kind of sitting there going, "That's it."
Yeah.
Which is really a bummer.
Which is amazing because it's one of those things that as a standalone movie, it's not bad.
Oh, but as the epic conclusion
to a
epic trilogy.
Right. That's supposed to be kind of like that knock of saying, oh, we're the original superhero trilogy here for films that set the stage for what Marvel is doing now, what DC's trying to do. No. It just doesn't feel that way. And to top it off, I have to say, if they had added, say if you had spliced in some of the stuff from Unbreakable and Split to kind of give each character some definition and some background, you could have had a single movie and felt the same way.
You know what it kind of reminds me of?
What?
Like, what if Return of the Jedi didn't have the Emperor? Like, it didn't even have, and like Vader didn't die either.
Right.
Like, they just blew up another Death Star. Like, well, that was still exciting. And I can't say the trip wasn't worth it, but it's like, it doesn't feel like we accomplished what we set out to do to really wrap things up here. Like, that's probably the best way to kind of sum up my feelings. It's like, what if this was a slightly worse Return of the Jedi?
Yeah.
Like I said, I still don't think it's terrible. I totally get why people are no pun intended, why people are split on this movie.
Right.
But yeah, I think we kind of overhyped this.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things like, this is the thing. I think it was the same thing with Split, in the fact that Split was a good movie. I'm not going to take that away. It was a really good movie, but the ending and the reveal was what kind of put it over the top for a lot of people. So it was almost one of those things that, well, if he could do this with Split, could you imagine what would happen? And especially with Unbreakable, could you imagine what would happen when all three of them are together?
Yeah, and then we're like, oh,
that's what would happen. Oh. M. Night wouldn't get the money that he wanted. Oh, okay, so
he's not going to the Showcase Showdown. Bring it back to Drew Carey.
Oh man.
You're welcome. Did you realize when we started this episode we were going to end it with a Price is Right joke?
I know.
I don't know if we got much else to really say.
No.
Here.
Like I said, it's a solid movie, but it's one of those things that it just feels underwhelming if you say, hey, this is the finale of a trilogy built off of two movies that have been highly praised.
I wouldn't call it a wet fart or anything like that, but I wouldn't call it like... It's like, there's got to be more. No, you kind of wanted it to be the end, but... maybe we'll get another one where we get an interesting hero-villain dynamic, like the guy who has the superhuman tongue and the other guy who has no lips.
Well, they've left it open, and
well, they totally did.
Could you imagine, like, if they... I mean, this is the thing. I understand maybe if he wants to reset the universe and do something else, or just add a sequel to it, say it's like set 15 years later or something. But man, if he never said this is the end of the trilogy, I think a lot of people wouldn't be upset as much.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, he makes another one later. It's like Mute. It's about a guy who has no mouth.
Yeah. Quad Man.
And he makes people scream for him.
It's Quad Man.
Yeah. He teams up with Harlan Ellison's estate to adapt I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
Yeah.
But now it's like something completely different, and it somehow still ties into the same universe. Man, we're just going for all the references.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. M. Night, we're putting you to the test right now. Like, you got to come up with something.
Clock Tower, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream,
Yes.
Price is Right, all the references.
Various wrestling references, and we come up with an idea for Drew Carey's next film.
Oh, man, I want to watch that now. Drew Carey is Resident Evil. The T-Virus Chronicles. It's just Drew Carey in a room, slowly realizing Umbrella's evil, and while it's going on, the city's going to hell
just
behind him.
Scrolling through a screen of text.
Yeah, he's at his computer scrolling, and behind him you just hear like a car crashes, and then oh god, zombies, gunshots. He's just not paying attention.
He's not paying attention. He's just continuously reading.
You know we have to get on Prices Right now.
I know. Hey, that's definitely one of my bucket list items. I have to be on the Price of Right.
Really?
Yes, no joke.
Oh, I didn't think it was actually a bucket. Oh, nice.
No, legit. That's one of my things. I got to do it.
I've never met you in person. I imagine you would be good at doing the happy dance. I just feel like that's a thing.
Yeah.
I would be happy but too low energy. They would probably never pick me. I don't know. Well, until we find out if you're gonna win that new car.
Yes.
James, thank you for being here.
Always a pleasure. Now I'm gonna play some Plinko.
Hell yeah. I've been Peter W. Dawson. Until next time, always bet $1.